Today, the latest US jobs report calms market jitters. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris agree to a debate date. The cruel summer twist for Swifties in Vienna doesn't stop them from singing. Plus, just how do our photographers get that perfect Olympic shot? It's Friday, August 9th. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes every weekday. I'm Tara Oakes in Liverpool. No one could have guessed how this turbulent week in the markets would end. But fears of a looming economic downturn look to have been allayed after the latest jobs report found the number of Americans filing new applications for unemployment benefits fell more than expected last week. Dan Burns is our US economics editor.
So the numbers this week really provide some relief to people who thought that last Friday's payrolls report signaled a very sharp turn to the south for the US job market. It does indicate that there was a lot of probably weather effects in those numbers. Texas saw a big drop in the number of claims. And you remember a month ago right now, we were talking about that big storm barreling through that state, and tens of thousands of people couldn't work while that happened. Well, they're getting back to work. So there is some indication in this week's numbers that suggest the July weakness may be just a blip.
So what does this mean for the Fed?
There had been a brief period earlier this week when the market was in its darkest spot. There had been chat that the Fed would have to cut its interest rate before the September 18 meeting, or that if it waited until that meeting, it would have to cut rates by 0.5 percentage point, maybe even more, because things were getting bad fast. This suggests that that's just not the case, that there really is no urgency for the Fed to do anything before September, and the market is reacclimating to that.
And mortgage rates are down. Why is that?
So mortgage rates are coming down in anticipation of the Fed cutting rates, and that's also because mortgage rates are not set by the Fed. They're set really by banks that benchmark them off of the U.S. Treasury market. U.S. Treasury yields plunged earlier this week amid all of that concern about the payrolls report. That means that there's a few million households that are going to have an opportunity to lower their outlay to their bank by a couple $100 a month. And that's going to be something that fortifies household balance sheets. And it also could strengthen the housing market.
But apparently nobody told Donald Trump that the economic outlook is improving.
We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing, that was just the beginning.
Trump hosted a long, rambling news conference at Mar-a-Lago as he tries to win back momentum from Vice President Kamala Harris.
We have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm.
The former president jumped from topic to topic, attacking his rivals in dark, hyperbolic terms and bragging that his January 6th crowd was bigger than Martin Luther King Jr.'s.
You look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people.
And he did make some news. Trump said he is willing to debate Harris 3 times in September, which means the first debate will be on ABC on September 10th. There's been another joint push for urgent ceasefire talks by the US, Qatar, and Egypt. Leaders of all 3 countries have called on Israel and Hamas to meet for negotiations on August 15 to cement a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage release deal. The push comes as part of an effort to preempt a broader regional conflict, which pulls in Iran after the killing of Hamas and Hezbollah leaders last week. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he'd send a delegation. There was no immediate comment from Hamas. Japan's Prime Minister has cancelled his plans to visit Central Asia today because of a warning that the risk of a major earthquake was higher than usual. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued its first ever warning of an earthquake on the country's Pacific coast on Thursday. It follows a 7.1 magnitude quake that hit the southwestern island of Kyushu. Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus being sworn in as Bangladesh's caretaker leader. His new role comes after weeks of violence in the country, forcing Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee to India. Meanwhile, her son has said the former Prime Minister will return to Bangladesh when the new government decides to hold elections, but it's unclear if she would contest.
Elon Musk es el dueño de X.
That's Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and he's not happy.
Todas las normas de la propia...
Announcing his decision to block access to social media platform X for 10 days. He accuses ex-owner Elon Musk of inciting hate, civil war, and death following a disputed election in the South American country. The company did not respond to requests for comment. An Austrian teenager arrested over an alleged plot to strike a Taylor Swift concert in Vienna planned to carry out a suicide attack that would have been a bloodbath and had vowed loyalty to Islamic State, authorities have said. The 19-year-old, who has North Macedonian roots, made a full confession in custody, according to Austria's General Director for Public Security. The suspect swore allegiance to the IS group's leader on the internet and had chemicals, machetes, and technical devices at his home in preparation for an attack. The event organizer said it had cancelled Swift's 3 concerts in Vienna, in coordination with the singer's management team. But you can't keep Swifties down. A crowd of disappointed fans gathered in Vienna to belt out her songs after they learned about the cancelled shows. To be more specific, they were gathering at a street called Corneliusgasse, which has become an unofficial pilgrimage point in recent days. And if you're a Swiftie like me, you'll understand the choice was inspired by Swift's 2019 song Cornelia Street. Many had spent thousands of dollars and travelled thousands of miles to be there.
We came from close to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
We came all the way from New York just to see Taylor Swift, and we're so disappointed.
Devastated. We waited for an entire year for this.
We planned all year to be here, so what a huge disappointment for our friends and for our kids. So, yeah. 1 year of planning. But we're glad that she canceled the concert because, better to go later and try and get tickets than be hurt.
There were a lot of tears, but I'm happy that with other people are feeling the same and we're having a lot of fun together.
That was Stella Peterson, Chrissy Thomas, Michaela Dujansky, Lamzi King, and Sophia Almdau. Over to the Olympics, and Letsile Tebogo has become the first African to win the men's Olympic 200 metres title, powering clear of Noah Lyles to claim Botswana's first Olympic gold medal. Lyles himself dropped to the ground after winning bronze and revealed he was suffering from COVID-19. Apart from the athletes, do you know who needs to be fast in these moments? Our photographers. Kai Pfaffenbach was there. I spoke to him when he was just outside the stadium, about to head into another day of Olympics coverage. Kai, how do you prepare for unexpected moments like that?
Always expect the unexpected. We were actually preparing for like a new world record. Nobody knew about the COVID story. And also nobody expected that somebody from Botswana is all of a sudden so fast on the 200. So everybody has to prepare for everything. And you have to make sure we are photographing with a team of 9 people during such a final in the stadium that you get every angle. So this time it was very difficult because the story of the winner is as big as the story of Noah not winning it, being the big favorite and completely crashing, being wheeled out in a wheelchair. So just no wonder when you're sick with COVID. And it actually, for me, is a wonder when he's not on his best that he still made it that fast and took a bronze medal.
I know, right? When I've had COVID, I just don't leave my bed at all. But, I'm not an Olympian. As a photographer, how do you think so quickly to get that perfect shot in just a few seconds, milliseconds?
And it's you follow from the position I was shooting it. It is inside the field. It's called infield. And I basically following for the finish line, or I try to get a picture on a slow shutter speed, simulating or turning reality back. So I basically rush to the finish line and look what my colleague was doing in the infield, and he was focusing on the winner. So I basically concentrated on Noah lying and trying to get back up, then waiting for medical assistance. So it's a teamwork that actually brings this whole thing into a successful mission. I always say Olympics for sports photographers is the same like the Olympics for the athletes competing.
Before we head into the weekend, here's a story we couldn't bring you today, but we think is worth a look. Today, it's a recommended watch, all about Danes in Copenhagen celebrating the return of spicy Korean noodles, which have been banned for being too spicy. You can find a link to it in today's pod description. And for more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. To never miss an episode, subscribe on your favourite podcast player. We'll be back on Monday with our daily headline show.